It's Recovery This Week. I'm Damon Frank,
And I'm Shauna McKenna Vick.
and it's the week of September 20th. How you doing, Shauna McKinnovick?
Well, I am doing, you know, I don't know how I'm doing. I'm feeling like I'm not in control of situations that I can't control, which I know. And so that, I know I can't control them and have to turn them over. I'm up visiting my dad and my brother up in Toronto, Canada. My dad's 87. I think I recorded one last year when I was
Yeah.
up when he was getting his double knee replacements. And still working with my clients, helping them get the help they need. So there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And I think confusion and dealing with lack of power or lack of control. Usually alcoholics don't have that issue. So
Hmm.
you're very lucky.
Yeah, no, we don't have that issue at all when we have lack of control and we can't exert our power. Yeah, we don't have that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Well,
that's not an issue for us.
I have to say up front, happy birthday. I know it is your birthday
Thank you.
tomorrow. So
Yes.
happy. So everybody wish on a happy birthday. And not only is it your birthday month, it is National Recovery Month.
Yes.
So,
How about
you
that?
know, can you believe it? We have our
Yeah.
own month.
Yeah, we have our own month. And the interesting thing to me, Damon, is that, I haven't been posting a lot on social media. I've taken a break from it. I need to get back to it because, it's important to, stay in touch and put out I'm not a thought leader. I'll, create things and can put them out, but I have noticed there hasn't been a ton out there on National Recovery Month. And
No.
that concerns me. That concerns me that I'm not seeing lots of stuff about National Recovery Month. And I'm on sober Twitter and I'm on, sober Instagram. And I'm just surprised.
I saw one or two posts, and I have to be honest, I did not know it was National Recovery Month until you
Hmm.
mentioned it to me a couple weeks ago. It's so bizarre because I don't ever remember National Recovery Month. I remember it like I think 2 years ago. I remember I
Yes.
first started hearing about it, and it's not something that, every day is National Recovery Month for me. But it's not something that in the past we've celebrated. I'm glad we're celebrating it now.
Hmm. Oh,
Uh,
I think
you
it's
know,
only 2 or 3 years old. I don't think it's maybe 5 years. I don't
yeah.
think it's that old.
Why do you think we even need one? Do you think we even need a National Recovery Month? Or is it just a
Well,
way for us alcoholics to pat ourselves on the back? Let's
no, I
break it
don't
down.
I don't think it's a way. I think it was started in an attempt to break the stigma. The hashtag break the stigma. Because there still is tremendous stigma about people asking for help when they're struggling with alcohol or substances.
I'm with that. And judgment. I would even say not even it's judgment too of people's character that have drug and alcohol addiction.
Yes. And yet, you know, post COVID, alcohol use has skyrocketed. People's drinking changed from maybe social drinking, we've talked about this before, to full blown addiction. I'm in detox centers. I take meetings to detox centers, and, we're chatting with people, and they say, well, when I was working from home during COVID, I started to day drink and then I couldn't stop. Right. So the disease progresses and the dependence forms. And then they can't stop. And luckily, they were able to reach out to get help or to go to a detox. But a lot of people are still rationalizing, well, I'm not an alcoholic. I don't have a
Yes.
problem with alcohol. I just drink 2 bottles of wine a night. It's no big deal. It is a big deal. And it's okay to say, I need to take a look at my drinking and I need to get some help. I don't want to do this alone. I can't do this alone.
Well, I think a lot of times alcoholism and recovery is linked to an amount. And I would say one thing people ask me that find out that I have long-term sobriety is they always ask me, it's like, this person's drinking, Bob's drinking X amount and
Right.
he had that extra glass of wine or he had that extra beer, or he got really drunk at this event. And they always equate drinking and alcoholism or drug use with the amount. And I find it
Correct.
has very little to do with the amount. I could put,
Hmm.
I drank more than some, less than others. Most of the people that I see in recovery now, they're not the people who are drinking, like we think alcoholics would drink, right?
Hmm.
They haven't drank all their life, and they haven't drank, they're not
They don't drink in the
necess
morning.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
not
Like,
they're not doing those patterns.
mhm. I agree. And, you know, people do rationalize, well, I don't drink in the morning. Yes, I do drink alone. I drink at home. I drink alone. But that's no big deal because I can control it. And, you know, moderate or social drinkers never say, I need to take a look at my drinking, or maybe I should back off my drinking, or I think I'd like to do a month of not drinking. Moderate and social drinkers never have to ask themselves that. There's a
Yeah,
disordered
absolutely.
relationship with alcohol if you even say, I wonder if I have a problem with alcohol.
Well, this has been I have to tell you, I had a conversation with somebody who was on the Recovered Life show. It's going to be on a future episode. And this guy
Okay.
has long-term sobriety, 42 years, works in the treatment sector. And we were talking the about how it's changed into this mental health thing,
Hmm.
right? And that sometimes what's lost in that is the dangers of alcoholism, because we have a lot of these, and God bless you if you're one of these people, I'm not insulting you out there in
Right.
the audience, but these mommy bloggers who are like, I'm no longer drinking my wine for a month, or I had a bad day. They're not necessarily alcoholics, and they're deciding that they're going to be sober. They're not necessarily in recovery, right? Because they're not necessarily alcoholics. But I think we've kind of downplayed recovery to a sense, where sometimes people don't think it is as dangerous as it is. And I'll tell you firsthand, alcoholism wipes people out. It just takes people out. It kills them, and it kills them quick. It kills them very quickly, if they go beyond a certain health line, right? And I think one of the great things has been to shine the light that people can recover. But on the other hand, too, I think we've sometimes diminished the impact of what alcohol really can do to you, because alcoholics like me, I can't just really stop
Hmm.
once I start. You know what I'm saying about that?
Right. So let me if I heard you correctly, people are diminishing the fact that alcohol is a carcinogen, right? That's not, yeah, I don't see that anywhere. I don't see the on the
It's
labels, the
not
warning
diminishing. No,
labels.
it's not diminishing that. It's not diminishing, Shauna. It's not diminishing that alcohol is not dangerous. It's diminishing. I think that there's a difference between people who don't drink and people who are in recovery. There are
Oh yeah,
plenty of
okay.
people who
No,
have been
that's
that. That's
fine.
what I'm saying.
Okay, like
Now,
people, there
on
are
one
people
side, I
who,
like it because it catches people who are going to be like me and you. It catches them. It's a filter, right? That they could say, hey, this has got a little out of control. Maybe alcohol doesn't work for me. And I see this in the younger generation
mhm,
a lot. They're not alcoholic, but they don't drink.
right,
It just doesn't work for them.
it doesn't work for them. But at what point do people say it really doesn't work for me? Or if it doesn't work for me, and having a couple beers on a Friday night doesn't work for me because I like to go hiking on a Saturday, that's different than I wake up hungover every Saturday morning and Sunday morning because I binge drink through the weekends, and this is affecting my life and my outcomes. What we aren't talking enough about is that the danger of binge drinking, the danger of drinking continuously over years. And do you know that alcohol is processed differently in a female body? It it attacks the organs quicker. And I have a very, I'm really fired up about this today because I was working with a client. She's in treatment. I was going to go and live with her to do a sober companion for a month. She had reached very, very well, she was in liver failure. And so she had to stop drinking. She had to be removed from alcohol. She got into treatment and I was going to work with her. And after 60 days in treatment, she was doing well. She felt like she had a new lease on life. She was looking forward to going home, getting into AA meetings and starting this new life. Well, because of the liver failure and the kidneys and the sodium and everything that happens to the body, she ended up having a massive stroke and she died. She died. This is 3 days ago. And I'm
And
sitting there
that's
going,
not uncommon. And that's not
it's not
uncommon
uncommon.
too, because people who reach a certain health thing, a pivotal point, alcohol is quick. We're
Hmm.
talking about fentanyl, which is very quick and deadly.
Very quick. Yes.
Horrible what's going on with fentanyl, especially because of the cost, but it being so cheap and readily available.
Hmm.
But alcohol is more readily available. And I would say it's, when they do all the studies, it's up on the top most deadliest drugs.
Yes. It's the
Alcohol
most
will
deadly
kill
legal
you dead.
drug. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it is super, super dangerous. And what happened to your client, horrible, because that happens quite a bit when the body just won't take any more.
Hmm.
And you get past a certain point with alcoholism and there is no getting back. I had a
Right.
family member that this happened to, and same thing, stroke, series of strokes, ended up dying. Once they hit this place, we're not even talking about the liver shutting down and all that other stuff. Horrible, right? And what it does to your actual life. And I don't know if you heard this when you first got into a 12-step program, but I heard, uh what's worse than dying with alcoholism is living with alcoholism.
Hmm.
Uh and I see that now.
Yeah. It's just, it's very daunting. It's one of the leading causes of breast cancer. Did you know that? That for women,
I
alcohol is
didn't.
one of, yes, it's the fourth leading cause of breast cancer for women.
What's scary about with women that I will say is that I did not know. And I have to tell you, sober for many years, I did not know this. But I had somebody that came on that had alcohol poisoning, had their liver shut down. And I talked with her on the show, and she went over the amount of drinks that women can have safely
Hmm.
in 1 week. It was not a lot. It
Hmm.
was not a lot. That it affects you so much. It affects women more. Alcohol does affect women more. And one of the things that I do like about this National Recovery Month, and I see it with the kids, I don't, we both have younger daughters, right?
Hmm.
So we're kind of, our ear is to the ground, and when they're talking with their friends and stuff,
Yeah.
I can't even tell you the amount of people that are around that are kids that I know that are that age, anywhere from 16 to like 22, 25,
Hmm.
that just do not simply
Not
drink. Shauna,
right.
they don't drink at all. They're not interested in drinking. They don't want to drink. They just don't see the benefit of it, and they don't want the hassle of it.
Hmm.
And that is what I think is really cool about this um, awareness side of this, is that there are other options for people. I don't know about you, but man, there were no other options for me.
No,
I didn't
there are
know
no
anybody
other
who didn't
options
drink.
for me. Yeah.
I didn't even know
Yeah, no,
anybody who
it's
didn't drink.
great that we do have a movement of young people who are choosing health. They actually
Yes.
see the consequences of
Yeah.
alcohol, the health consequences, right? That there's been some education and awareness. If there was more education and awareness, how many more people might not drink? I mean, you're in the business, I'm in the business. You didn't know it was one of the leading causes of breast cancer. We don't see it because no one's
Yeah.
putting it out there. Because, I hate to say it, big alcohol doesn't want that because they have a whole line directed at women, skinny drinks and whatever. And those carbonated drinks, the I don't want to use brand names, but um you can pick them up in six packs at the convenience store, wherever. And it it's like minimizing the alcohol use, right? Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just, it's no
Yeah.
big deal. um and it just I really am at a loss for words because I just don't want people to hesitate asking for help. So
Well, how does
what
it?
do you think are the biggest barriers for people asking for help, Damon?
Well, I have to say, like, you already talked about the stigma of it.
Hmm.
And I have to tell you, one of the benefits of the Recovered Life show is that I've talking, and I didn't even know this, but we've had 300 episodes of the
Oh,
Recovered.
oh
It's
my
really more
gosh.
actually. Yeah. And it's
Wow.
really been a hobby really that I started that just kind of took off. But I've spoken with so many different types of people,
Hmm.
doctors, scientists, interventionists, like every, but coaches, nutritional people, social workers, people who have in recovery, and one of the things that I still see where the stigma lies and the most ignorance lies, it's in the medical community. I have to say, sorry,
They do
I'm called.
4 hours on addiction in medical school. That's it.
I've never met more stupid people, and
Oh,
that's really harsh.
that's
That's really
harsh.
harsh.
That's harsh.
But I
Take
but
that
I
back,
have to tell
Damon.
you, okay, I take it back a little bit. No, but I have to,
Uninformed. They're
okay.
uninformed and they
Well,
haven't sought the information.
I'll tell you, it's not necessarily an okay? Because
Okay.
I have met people in the medical community that deal with alcoholics
Hmm.
day in and day out in emergency room situations and everything. I have been in emergency room situations when they have tried to give me something where I said, you know what? If I don't really need that, I'd rather not have it.
Not
And
take it.
this is
Right.
why I'm in recovery. And they look right at me. They go, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not medically a thing. And the nurse came in. I got to tell you, okay, the nurse came in, Shauna,
Uh-huh.
and she goes, come here. She goes, hey, she goes, how long have you been sober? And I told her, and she goes, I've been sober for a couple decades. She goes, you're doing the right, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
They don't get it. They don't understand. And you know what? It's shocking to me. And I have to tell you, I have heard things like, well, it's just a self-control issue or it's a character issue. And I hear that from people in the medical community a lot. Now, a lot of those people have never had anyone close to them die of
Hmm.
alcoholism or have alcoholism. So they've never been through the process. So not stupid isn't the word, but it's
Right.
infuriating. It's infuriating that they don't get any that they're working on the front lines of
Hmm.
triage for people coming in, Shauna, and they don't know the basics. They don't know the
Right.
phenomena of craving. They don't even know detox signs a lot of times.
Hmm.
Okay. Like crazy, crazy, like lack of information. So
Yeah.
that's one I'm gonna call out right there.
Okay. So I can see that, and they better get with it because I know personally that after speaking with um, a lot of emergency room staff, because I've had to go and get clients who've gone into detox or been taken in, or the ambulance has been called on them, and they have a lot of people coming in now who are detoxing and stuff. So I know that there are some hospital systems who will assign a social worker to them to help them find resources, and so that is good. So there are some things that are happening that are coming out of it, but we
No,
want
I'm
to.
not saying that. I just want to be clear up front. I know other people who are right on it. They totally
Right,
understand.
right,
But a
right, but
large
there are
majority
a
of people
lot. Yeah.
don't. There's ignorance about the whole thing. And I got to throw this out to you because I don't know if you've ever run into this just in the professional community or being a mom, right? Or
Hmm.
being a wife or being just a member of society, a brother, a sister, right? Where there are a lot of people who still believe alcoholism is some sort of moral defect.
Yes, there are a lot,
That
and that it
really, it's
makes you
just
a
because you're a
bad
bad person.
person. Right,
Exactly. That
right.
automatically you're somehow, and look, I was somebody that was like I was like the undercover sober dude for a long time because I had a career that was very combative and hard and
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
like you didn't want to have any kind of weakness. And at that point, I did view it as kind of a weakness because I didn't want people to really know. Some people
Right.
knew, but a lot of people didn't. I mean, I had business partners for years that did.
Who
I
didn't
never
know?
told them I was an
Yeah.
alcoholic. They knew I didn't drink. They figured it out, but I never said it, right? Because there was this, well, morally something's like, I thought you were here, but now you're really here.
Right. Whereas when people get help, the truth is they're the most brave, courageous people, and
Yes.
they're actually up here, right? People who seek help to change something as much as alcohol use and alcohol problems, and to seek help for that, it takes strength and courage to pursue recovery and to maintain recovery. And I hold them in the highest esteem.
Yeah, I agree. No, I had this happen, Shauna. I had this happen not too long ago to me where I was in a social situation and somebody knew that I was sober and they'd said it. And I could tell they automatically went on the defensive. Now, typically, when that is, they have an alcohol problem. That's always been my go-to because it's
Mm-hmm.
true. A lot of the times, people that like everybody worries that, hey, when you get sober, what's going to happen? Or people are going to like they're going to ask you all these questions about it, and they're going to. Most of the time, I find it's not. They go, "Oh, that's really cool." They don't
Yeah,
judge you at all. A lot, most people, right?
most
But
people,
this
yeah.
particular person, this particular, I could tell they were kind of snobby and they're
Mm-hmm.
like, "Oh, like that would never happen to me," or anything, like kind of like, that whole kind of thing.
I can
And
control my alcohol intake.
I'm like, dude, look, I've been sober for 30 plus years. It's like, like you've been through nothing in your life, right? And you're like judging me. And maybe that's inappropriate for me to think that
Well,
way, but
you're
I
telling
could
yourself
tell.
that story in your head too.
Correct, correct. But it was after I got to know the
Right.
person. It was pretty accurate. To be
Yeah.
honest with you, it was pretty accurate. But yes, there is that. There is that. People will, the legal system sometimes, the things they'll look at it, even if you've never done anything of repute or whatever they call it. What was
Ill
that?
repute.
Ill repute. Even if you are like that, there's that always thing that they say, Shauna, if you're if you're a dirty rotten scoundrel when you're drinking, you're a dirty rotten scoundrel when you get sober.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, you know, but I do believe that there's still some of that. Now, I think thanks to this National Recovery Month and thanks to just educating people, especially younger people,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's turning around a bit. I think most it went from, oh, that's okay. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't care what you are. Right. It doesn't really affect them to, uh, at first it was like, ooh, something's wrong with you, to indifference, to now it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. How did you do that?
Yeah.
Right. So I have seen it kind of move a little bit. What
A
about
little
you?
bit.
What do you think?
I think we've moved the needle a little bit, but I know women who are out there who continue to drink a lot, who drink away their anxiety, who drink away their depression, who go to see their doctors and say, give me something, or their therapists, and give me something for, my depression, or I'll go to talk therapy, where if they looked at or said, I think I might need help with my drinking, the number of problems that solves. I mean, anxiety reduced tremendously
Yeah.
when
Yeah.
you remove alcohol from the equation. It's that group of women that, a lot of women who are traveling for work or on the road, they're trying to maintain their homes, their families, and going out, and unwinding with alcohol, and then drinking through the evening, then getting up and doing it all over. They're always in a state of sleep deprivation, in dehydration, right? Because then it's a lot of coffee and stuff. They're not taking care of their bodies and their minds, and okay, I'm not judging them. That was me. That
Yeah.
was me. Okay.
I think
And
life is harder for women because I think women have to and I think this is where alcohol is the great equalizer and works for so many women successfully. And I'm gonna look, I'm not pro alcohol, obviously, but most people can have a glass of wine or two and be fine. It's the people who can't that's the issue. But I think women juggle a lot of different roles. They have to be a business person, a mom, a friend. They're much more multitasking. At
oh
least,
yeah,
as somebody who's
we
married, my wife does a
maintain,
lot
yes,
more.
yes,
Yeah,
we
and men are much more single focused, even if it's like, okay, I'm just dealing with stuff around the house and I'm stereotyping a bit, but look, some of the stereotype is true. Women have to be a lot
We
more
carry the mental
multitask.
load. We
Yes.
carry the mental load of the family.
Yes. And I
We
think
figure.
women are at risk. Women are
Mhm.
more at risk. I mean,
So
look,
we're more at risk, and it affects us and processes differently, and we suffer alcoholic consequences, or consequences, physical health consequences, much quicker than men do because of
okay,
the
can I
way it
blow your mind?
processes. Yeah,
Can I blow
sure.
your mind? Can I act
Sure.
really old right now?
Yeah.
I remember when 12 step meetings, it was very rare to see a woman.
Oh, yeah.
And I
I
think
believe it.
women have a harder time getting sober too. I
Hmm.
do. I believe women have a harder time getting their path is harder to get sober. It really is. I mean, because now it's a little bit easier because there's people
Hmm.
like you, there's people that are out there doing the jam, right? But I remember there was not a lot of women
No.
in Alcoholics Anonymous and the groups that I were in. It started to get more and more and more. I would say the last 15 years, I would
Hmm.
say has really blossomed. There's always been amazing women in
Right.
12 step groups,
Oh,
always
yeah.
that's always there. But the amount of them were not as much. So when women would come in to get help, sometimes they wouldn't feel as comfortable. And I know the groups that I was involved in, I don't know if you have this in your group, but men would introduce themselves and immediately turn them over to another woman and actually say, like, hey, welcome, but I think you should talk to this person. You should talk to Sally or Jane or whatever. So
Hmm.
they could connect with them first so that their version of what their recovery would be like would be painted by somebody who was much more like them and had their experience than
Right.
some guy that maybe doesn't have that shared
Yeah.
experience.
Right. And that's why we do, typically in meetings, in healthy meetings, we recommend that, that the women reach out to the women and the men reach out to the men. And you're exactly right, because our experiences are different.
Can I throw something else out here too that you might agree with or not agree with? I know we're coming up on the time here. But can I throw this out about a reason why I think people don't get sober?
Sure.
The challenges. I think some people can't get sober.
I believe that there are some people who can't get
And
sober.
this is a belief that you don't hear a lot about in today's feel good world. But I remember very clearly, and I don't know, raise your hand if you've ever met some of those people. They're rare. They're rare. The big book calls them such unfortunates or something, right? Those
Hmm.
unfortunates. But I have met those unfortunates.
I have
Uh,
too.
I've
I've had
I've met a
other
couple
people.
people that despite everything that they did, they couldn't get sober. And I think that even there's a bigger group of people who believe that they'll never be able to get sober. Now, most of those overwhelmingly group of people can get
Hmm.
sober, even if they don't know how to do it.
Right.
They will be able to get sober with the right kind of help. But I do believe that sometimes alcoholism is fatal for some people and they're not able to recover.
Hmm.
I think it's rare. I think it's rare. But there are people who just prefer to drink themselves to death.
Hmm.
And I've met those people, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
I
I
have
think
too. I have
yeah.
too. And I've
Yeah.
had people die. Families reach out, please. She's gonna die from this. Yes, and we'll work with them, provide help, get them into treatment. And they leave treatment, and within 2 or 3 weeks, because they won't do the deal, they won't continue on with their home treatment or go to AA or whatever. And a year later, she was dead. She
Yeah.
literally drank herself to death.
Yeah. The idea of not drinking, I had a family member like this too, and I didn't understand at the time it
Hmm.
was alcoholism. I was younger. Now I understand it was alcoholism. When this person passed, Shauna, um, it wasn't that there was not help put out earlier. It wasn't that there weren't barricades, but this person had decided. And I remember kind of eavesdropping as a kid
Yeah.
into family conversations. And it basically was, well, you know what? Like, this is just the way I live my life, and this is what I've
Yeah.
chosen to do.
Hmm.
Right. that they just felt like, no, this is like not drinking for me would be just, it would be too much. Now, I think that is not the right way out if people are listening to this. But if you're
It's,
around somebody who has done that, I think it's even more important that you cherish the sobriety that you have, you
mhm.
know?
And, and continue to show up with love and compassion towards those people because, like you said, there are such unfortunates. They are hurting and they can't see the way out. And it's heartbreaking for everyone around. You sometimes have to set some boundaries with them and not allow them to hold you hostage by their behavior. And working with a therapist or a coach or going to Al-Anon, those are all really good things so that people can have their own program of recovery when they have that. So there's help for the people around those people as well. And i I think there's always hope. If
Yeah,
if we can get someone into treatment one last time, maybe the miracle will happen.
absolutely. And, with saying that, I want to end it on this too, is that, I just found out, COVID, I don't know if you were involved. I think we were talking about this. I was involved in a very big 12-step group
Hmm.
pre-COVID, through COVID, and then the group broke up. And it was, I mean, when I'm talking, it was big. We had a roster of, 9, 10 meetings a week in physical locations, thousands of people
Wow.
called it their home group in Los Angeles, big city.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big feat to be able to do.
Hmm.
But, when things shattered into the wind and the world changed a bit, I lost touch with people. And I just found out that a guy that I had known, and this was something, a testament to National Recovery Month there, that a guy that I knew who drank most of his life ended up getting sober because he had
Wow.
a liver transplant and literally was almost died from a liver transplant.
Yeah.
Got a liver transplant and drank again. Went all the way and almost had to have another liver transplant. Got sober and was sober, I'm 15, 20 years and helped a
Wow.
ton of people. Was like the guy who always showed up and did the stuff
Hmm.
right, So like when I said when I think of National Recovery Month, I think of people like him where on one hand I'll say, well, there are some people who just are never going to get sober. They're just not going to do it. And
Right.
then I would have picked that guy as
Hmm.
being that guy. But how wrong I always am, Shauna, about all this
Yeah.
stuff. I'm always a bad picker when it comes to that. This guy went on after all of this, and he ended up dying of health. He had other health complications. And
Right. Of course.
he was an older gentleman. He wasn't 32. Um, but he went on to help hundreds and hundreds of people,
Beautiful.
right? And so it just shows you that there is such hope for people. And I think the big thing, because we live in such a shitty fucking world right now, I'm going to say it. Everything
Okay.
is negative.
I'm okay with
Look,
that.
everything, I'm on a soapbox now. Everything is negative. And I have to tell you, like, it's like to see stories like that and to see people walk in, be hopeless, not really ever able to stop drinking, and end up on the other side of it, like you and I,
Hmm.
is nothing short of a miracle.
I would agree. I was going to just say that it's nothing short of a miracle that I'm here speaking to you today as a sober woman.
Because the odds aren't good, because we've seen the
No.
odds aren't good, but yet I see it over and over again, which
Hmm.
tells me that, something else is at play here
Hmm.
that I have little to do with, but part of, and that's what is so cool about this recovery thing. That's why I actually tell people I'm sober now
Hmm.
and don't hide
Yeah,
it
I recover
because,
out loud too because I want people to be
yeah,
able to say, well, how'd you do it? Or how do you know if you are
exactly.
or not? And I say, well, I can't tell you that, but I can give you a couple of questions to ask yourself, but that's about it.
Well, I think next
Anyway,
week
so
we have to come back and
okay,
dispel the myth. You just put it officially that Canadian, 12-step groups are not as exciting as US 12-step groups, right? Is that
or
the next
more
episode?
exciting, or more exciting.
Or more exciting? You be the judge.
Yes, I love coming to meetings here because they are a lot different than the US. Different, they add in some prayers and they're very structured and
Nice.
It's great. I love the meetings here.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, what's on your docket for this recovered week? What are you doing? What are you focusing on? What are you going to do as we end this
Well, I got to tell you,
little
for
episode?
me, I am showing up with patience, love, kindness, and tolerance in every meeting. I'm asking God how I can be of service to my dad and my brother. They have nothing to do with recovery, but what am I being called to do as a person this week? And it's to be loving sister and a loving wife. That's that's the my personal stuff. I have work stuff. I've got someone who has treatment, has the means to go to treatment, and is refusing to go to treatment. So we're working with the family there. I have another client, another family that's come to me that wants to get their child into treatment, their adult child.
Nice.
So I am doing a lot on the recovery front, but for me on the personal front, I am just showing up as a grateful, sober woman that I can show up and be present to my family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know what? I've realized lately that showing up is most of all of the battle, just
Mm-hmm.
showing up and participating, and, being part of something that's bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think the word recovery is very interesting. It's not sober. The word recovery is really, to me means more of it's an ongoing action thing, that I'm part of something that is ongoing. I'm
Right.
part of it, but I'm not the whole thing, right? And it's like that this is that's what I try to practice day to day, is wake up and just do the best I can in that day. And
Mm-hmm.
I think really that is really the lesson of all of this in recovery, is that, we're not perfect.
Mm-mm.
Like, we're never going to be perfect,
Never.
but we're better than we were yesterday, right?
That's all I can do is be better than I was yesterday. All right. Thanks,
Fun,
Damon.
exciting.
Hey, if you like this episode, think about supporting us by becoming a Recovered Life Plus member. At Recovered Life TV, we're not just delivering premium recovery resources, we're empowering you with the knowledge and tools that make a real difference in the quality of your recovery. By subscribing, you gain access to ad-free content, expert insights, exclusive video and audio segments, special projects, plus so much more, all while supporting our mission to spread the recovery message far and wide. Whether you're seeking to deepen your understanding or stay updated on the latest addiction and mental health recovery trends, Recovered Life Plus is for you. Subscribe now and start living your best recovered life. Just go to recoveredlife.tv and become a Plus member today.